The alarm screamed through the monitoring station, a sound that Commander Zethus had not heard in 12 years of service. His forearms moved across the control panel with practiced speed, his compound eyes scanning the data that flooded his screens. Something was out there in the deep dark of space, and it was big. Report, Zethus clicked, his mandibles sharp with command. The junior officer, a young Klarn named Sifa, trembled as she spoke. Commander, we have detected an unknown energy signature in Sector 447. The readings are impossible. Nothing is impossible. Show me. The main screen lit up with the scan results. Zethus felt his breathing tubes constrict. The object was massive, easily 3 times the size of a Council dreadnought. It drifted through space like a dead thing, but the power readings suggested something still lived within its metal shell. Is it a station? A colony ship? Zethus asked. No, sir. The configuration matches a warship, but it is not in our database. Not Council, not Krill, not any known species. Zethus stood silent for a moment. In the 3,000 years since the Galactic Council had formed, every spacefaring species had been catalogued, contacted, or observed. There were no unknowns anymore. The galaxy had been mapped, settled, and organized. This did not fit. Prepare the diplomatic science vessel. We will investigate personally. 3 hours later, Zethus stood on the bridge of the Seeker's Hope, watching the unknown ship grow larger in the viewport. Up close, it was even more terrifying. The hull was scarred and burned, marked by weapons fire that must have been incredible. Whole sections looked melted. Others showed impact craters deep enough to swallow smaller ships. What kind of battle did this survive? Whispered Valora, the Avian Council representative beside him. Her feathers were flat against her body, a sign of fear in her species. One we should be grateful we were not part of, Zethus replied. As they drew closer, the ship's details became clearer. The design was brutal and practical. There were no elegant curves like Council ships favored. This vessel was built like a hammer, meant to strike and strike hard. Massive cannons lined its sides. Launch bays gaped open like wounds. Strange symbols marked the hull in white paint, words in a language the computer struggled to translate. I have something, called out the linguistics officer, a 6-legged trell named Gorvin. The translation matrix is working on the language. It is old, very old. Not used in Council space for... Wait. This cannot be correct. What is it? Zethus demanded. The language is classified as Terran, human, but that is impossible. Humans are primitive. They do not have space travel. They were quarantined in their home system over 200 years ago. The bridge fell silent. Every officer knew the story of humanity. They had been discovered 2 centuries ago, a young species just beginning to reach for the stars. The Council had observed them but decided not to make contact. Humans were too violent, too aggressive, too unpredictable. When the Krill swarm had been detected moving toward human space, the Council had voted to do nothing. They had sealed off that region of space and moved on. No one had checked on humanity since. What does the writing say? Valora asked, her voice quiet. Gorvin's translator hummed. UNSC Retribution. Terran Deep Space Navy, he paused. There is more. We stand vigilant. We strike first, we end wars. Zethus felt a chill run through his body. If this was truly a human ship, then everything the Council believed about humanity was wrong. This was not the vessel of a primitive species. This was a weapon of war, built by survivors who had learned to fight in the darkness. Scan for life signs, he ordered. The sensors worked for several minutes before the science officer reported back. I am detecting very faint life signs, Commander. Deep within the ship, they appear to be in some kind of stasis. Cryosleep, perhaps. How many? Over 800 signatures. Zethus made his decision. Prepare a boarding team. Full environmental suits. Weapons on stun only. We will enter this ship and find out what happened to humanity. The airlock breach was easy. The human ship's systems were in emergency mode, powered down to almost nothing. The boarding team of 6 moved through corridors that were too small, too cramped for comfort. Everything was built for human proportions. Emergency lighting cast everything in red shadows, making the interior feel like the inside of a predator's mouth. Warning signs covered every wall. Gorvin translated as they walked. Danger. High radiation. Weapons hot. Authorized personnel only. Reactor critical zones. The humans had marked their ship like a minefield. They found the first human in the medical bay. She floated in a cryopod, frozen in time. Her face was young but carried scars. Burns on her neck. A patch over one eye. Her uniform was military, covered in symbols and badges that meant nothing to the council team. There are hundreds more, the science officer reported. This entire section is filled with cryopods. Zethus studied the sleeping human. She looked so ordinary, small, fragile, soft-skinned, not the appearance of a warrior race. But appearances, he was learning, meant nothing. We should wake one of them, Valora suggested. We need answers, agreed. Find someone with command insignia. They located a pod deeper in the ship. The nameplate read Captain Sarah Chen, UNSC Navy, serial number 447-882-019. Her uniform carried more symbols than the others. This was a leader. The science officer studied the pod controls. The interface is simple, primitive but effective. I can initiate the wake sequence. Do it. The pod hummed to life. Liquid drained away. The human inside began to move, her body jerking as systems came online. Her eyes snapped open and immediately she began to fight, her hands moving to her waist for weapons that were not there. Stand down, Zethus commanded, his translator broadcasting in the human language. We mean no harm. We are from the Galactic Council. The human stopped moving. Her one good eye focused on Zethus, taking in his insectoid form, his forearms, his compound eyes. She did not scream. She did not panic. Instead, she spoke in a voice rough from years of sleep. Galactic Council? How long have I been out? We were hoping you could tell us, Valora said gently. Your ship was found drifting in neutral space. We do not know how it got here. Captain Chen looked around the medical bay, seeing her crew in their pods. Her face hardened. Computer, what is the date? A mechanical voice responded from speakers. Galactic Standard Year 2847. You have been in cryo-sleep for 43 years, 6 months, and 12 days. Chen closed her eye for a moment. When she opened it again, something dangerous lived there. Then we survived. The mission was a success. What mission? Zethus asked. Captain Chen looked at him, and Zethus saw something in her expression that made him want to step back. It was the look of someone who had seen hell and walked through it. The mission to kill the Krill Hive Queen and stop the invasion of Sol System. She said simply, we destroyed their fleet. All 40,000 bioships, but it cost us everything. She paused. Tell me, council member, is Earth still standing? Zethus did not know how to answer. He did not even know if humanity still existed. The boarding team exchanged glances. Captain Chen saw their hesitation and understood. Her voice dropped to something cold and sharp. You do not know. You abandoned us. It was not a question. The council quarantined us and left us to die. We had no choice, Valora began. The Krill. We fought them, Chen interrupted. For 200 years we fought them alone. And we won. She pulled herself out of the pod, standing on shaky legs. Now I am going to ask you again, and you are going to give me answers. Where is Earth? Where is humanity? And what has the council been doing while we bled? Commander Zethus realized in that moment that the galaxy had changed. Humanity had not died in the darkness. They had been forged by it. And now they were back. The question was, what would they do next? The conference room aboard the council station felt too warm. Captain Sarah Chen sat across from Commander Zethus and 5 other council representatives, each from a different species. They stared at her like she was a bomb that might explode at any moment. Perhaps she was. We need to understand what happened, Zethus said carefully. The council lost contact with humanity 203 years ago. We believed your species was confined to one solar system, yet here you are, in a warship more advanced than anything in our records. Chen leaned back in her chair. Her body still ached from cryo-sleep, but her mind was sharp. She had spent the last 6 hours reviewing what little data the Retribution's damaged computers could provide. The picture was not complete, but it was enough. You want the story? Fine. I will give you the short version. She tapped the table and a holographic display flickered to life. The image showed Earth blue and beautiful. This is home. 200 years ago, we were just starting to colonize Mars and the outer planets. We were happy. Stupid, but happy. The image changed, showing a dark shape approaching the solar system. It looked organic, like a massive insect made of metal and flesh. Then they came. The Krill. We did not even know aliens existed, and suddenly we were fighting for our lives. Chen's voice remained flat, emotionless. They hit Earth first. Kinetic strikes from orbit, bioweapons, swarm troops. 3 billion people died in the first month, Valora gasped. Several other representatives made sounds of horror. Chen did not look at them. We fought back with everything we had. Nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, anything that could kill. It was not enough. The krill kept coming, so we ran. We evacuated everyone we could to Mars, to the asteroid colonies, to anywhere the krill had not reached. The hologram showed fleets of ships, small and desperate, fleeing burning cities. The governments collapsed. The old nations meant nothing anymore. There was only humanity, and we were dying, so we formed the UNSC, the United Nations Space Command. One military, one goal, survive. Chen stood up and began to pace. The council representatives watched her like prey watching a predator. For 50 years we fought them, ship by ship, station by station, planet by planet. The krill were stronger, faster, more numerous. But we learned. We adapted. We built ships designed to kill them. We developed weapons that could crack their bioarmor. We trained soldiers who could fight in zero gravity, in hard vacuum, in conditions that would kill most living things. She stopped and looked directly at Zethus. We became what we needed to be. We became monsters to fight monsters. The hologram changed again, showing the retribution in its prime. It was beautiful and terrible, bristling with weapons. The retribution was one of our last generation dreadnoughts. We built her to do one thing: destroy the krill hive fleet that was preparing to launch a final assault on Earth. The mission was simple: jump into their territory, find their queen, and kill everything. A suicide mission, Zethus said quietly. Yes. But we volunteered anyway. Chen smiled, but there was no joy in it. We hit them hard. 40,000 krill bioships defending their queen. We killed them all, used every weapon we had. Nuclear torpedoes, antimatter warheads. We even rammed 3 of their carriers when we ran out of ammunition. She touched her eye patch. I was on the bridge when their suicide fighters hit us. The explosion killed my second officer and half the bridge crew. I lost my eye. We lost main power. Life support failed in 6 sections. But we kept fighting. The room was silent. Chen continued. In the end, we won. We killed the queen. Without her, the krill hive mind collapsed. The invasion stopped. Earth was saved. She paused. But the retribution was dying. Our FTL drive was damaged. We could not make it home. So I ordered the crew into cryo-sleep. We set the ship to drift toward the galactic core, hoping someone would find us eventually. She sat back down heavily. I thought I would never wake up. I thought we would drift forever, a ghost ship full of dead heroes. Instead, I wake up to find the council standing over me asking questions. Valora leaned forward, her feathers ruffling with emotion. Captain Chen, I am truly sorry for what your species endured. If we had known. But you did know, Chen interrupted coldly. The council knew the krill were coming. Your records show it. You detected them moving toward our space. You could have warned us. You could have helped us. Instead, you quarantined us and watched. Zethus's mandibles clicked nervously. It was not that simple. The council feared the krill. We had fought them before thousands of years ago. We barely survived. The decision was made to contain them, to keep them away from council space, by letting them destroy humanity instead. Yes. Zethus did not try to deny it. It was wrong. I will not defend it. The council chose to sacrifice your species to save our own. Chen stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. At least you are honest. I can respect that. What will you do now? Asked a reptilian representative named Krish. Will you return to human space? That depends, Chen said. You are going to tell me everything you know about what happened to humanity while I was sleeping. You are going to show me your records, your surveillance data, everything. And then I am going to decide whether the council is a friend or an enemy. That is not how this works, Krish said sharply. You are in our space. You have no authority here. Chen smiled, and this time it was genuine and terrifying. Let me explain something to you. The retribution may be damaged, but she is not dead. My crew is still asleep on that ship. And even in her current state, she carries enough firepower to sterilize a planet. So yes, this is exactly how this works. Zethus raised a hand before the situation could escalate. Enough. Captain Chen, you have earned the truth. I will provide you with all the information we have on humanity's current status. He activated a larger holographic display. Chen's breath caught in her throat. The image showed the Sol system, but it was transformed. Earth was surrounded by massive defense platforms. Mars had been terraformed. The asteroid belt was filled with stations and shipyards, and there were ships. Hundreds of ships, all bearing the same design philosophy as the Retribution. Humanity survived, Zethus said. After the Krill invasion ended, your species expanded rapidly. You now control 32 systems. Your population is estimated at 40 billion. And your military? He hesitated. Your military is formidable. Chen felt tears on her face but did not wipe them away. Earth lived. Humanity thrived. Everything they had sacrificed, every death, every horror had not been in vain. Show me more, she whispered. Zethus showed her everything. Human colonies spreading through space. New technologies developed from captured Krill bioships. Defensive fleets that patrolled human borders. A civilization that had been forged in fire and emerged stronger. Your species calls this period the Long War, Valora explained softly. It is taught to every human child. The time when humanity stood alone against extinction and refused to fall. Chen wiped her face and stood straight. I need to contact Earth. I need to let them know we are alive. Already arranged, Zethus said. A message drone is being prepared. It will reach your territory in 3 days. Thank you. Chen took a deep breath. Now tell me about the Krill. Are they gone? Did we destroy them all? The council representatives exchanged glances. Zethus's voice was heavy when he spoke. No, Captain. The Krill still exist. Your attack crippled them, sent them into retreat. But they have been rebuilding in the dark spaces between galaxies. And our long-range sensors have detected something disturbing. He changed the display. It showed a massive fleet, larger than anything Chen had ever seen, moving through deep space. They are coming back, and this time they are not just targeting humanity. They are coming for everyone. Chen looked at the impossible fleet and felt something cold settle in her stomach. The war was not over. It had only just begun. She met Zethus's compound eyes. Then I suggest the Council and humanity start talking. Because if we are going to survive what is coming, we are going to need each other. Agreed, Zethus said. The question is, will humanity help the Council that abandoned them? Chen thought about her crew, sleeping peacefully in their pods. She thought about Earth, thriving and strong. She thought about the billions who had died so that humanity could survive. That, she said quietly, is not my decision to make alone. The Galactic Council chamber was built to inspire awe. Its dome stretched 300 meters high, decorated with crystals that represented every member species. Thousands of representatives filled the curved seating areas, creating a symphony of different voices, languages, and sounds. Today, that symphony was chaos. Commander Zethus stood at the central podium trying to maintain order. It was not working. This is madness, shouted a Greenland representative, their blue skin flushed with anger. We cannot trust the humans. They are violent, unpredictable, dangerous. They are our only hope, countered Valora from her perch. The Krill are coming. We need the humans' help. We need to destroy that ship before they bring war to our space. Captain Chen sat in a special viewing area, watching the chaos unfold. Beside her sat her chief engineer, Lieutenant Marcus Webb, whom she had awakened 2 days ago. He was a tall man with dark skin and clever eyes. Right now, those eyes were studying the council chamber's computer systems with great interest. They are scared, Chen said quietly. They should be, Webb replied. I have been reviewing their military records. The council has not fought a real war in 600 years. They do not know how anymore. They have diplomacy and trade agreements. We have survival instinct. Chen smiled slightly. Is the package ready? Almost. Their security is good, but not good enough. Odin is working through their firewalls now. Give me another hour. Chen nodded. Odin was the Retribution's artificial intelligence, a learning computer that had helped them survive the war. It was old, damaged, but still functioning. And right now it was quietly infiltrating the Council's information network, gathering everything it could find. Knowledge was power, and Chen needed all the power she could get. Zethus finally managed to quiet the chamber. Order! We must have order! His translator boomed through the space. We have a decision to make. The Krill fleet will arrive in 3 weeks. We must decide how to respond. A hologram appeared above the central floor, showing the approaching Krill armada. Even through the projection, it looked terrifying. Millions of bioships, moving like a swarm of locusts through space. Our defensive fleets cannot stop this, said Admiral Koenig, a reptilian species that commanded the Council's military. We have 700 ships of the line. This krill fleet has over 3 million bioships. We will be overwhelmed in hours. What about evacuation? Someone asked. There is not enough time. 17 worlds lie in their path. 40 billion citizens. We cannot evacuate them all. The chamber fell silent. Chen could see the fear on every face. These were species that had lived in peace for centuries. They had forgotten what it meant to face extinction. We could negotiate, suggested an elderly quill representative. Offer them tribute, territory, whatever they want. The krill do not negotiate, Chen said, her voice cutting through the silence. Every eye turned to her. They do not want your territory or your resources. They want to consume everything. That is what they do. That is all they do. She stood up and walked to the podium. Zethus did not stop her. I have fought the krill for my entire adult life, Chen continued. I have seen what they do to planets they conquer. They strip away everything. Every plant, every animal, every microbe. They consume it all and move on. You cannot bargain with that. You cannot reason with it. You can only fight it. And how did that work out for your species? Sneered the Greenland representative. You lost. Billions of people. But we survived, Chen said coldly. Can you say the same? Will your species survive the next 3 weeks? The representative had no answer. Chen activated her personal data pad, projecting files onto the main hologram. These are combat logs from the Retribution, battle footage from our war with the krill. I am going to show you what you are facing, and then you are going to understand why you need humanity. The first video played. It showed a human destroyer fighting 3 krill bioships. The human vessel was smaller, slower, but it fought with a ferocity that made the council representatives gasp. When it was about to be destroyed, it rammed one krill ship and detonated its reactor, taking out all 3 enemies. This is what human warfare looks like, Chen narrated. We do not retreat. We do not surrender. We fight until we win, or until we die. More videos played. Human marines in powered armor boarding krill vessels, fighting in conditions that would kill most council species. Nuclear weapons being deployed at ranges that seem suicidally close. Ships sacrificing themselves to save others. Admiral Koenig watched with growing horror and fascination. Your tactics are brutal, effective, but brutal. We use what works, Chen said. The krill are stronger than us, faster than us, more numerous. So we developed weapons and tactics to counter their advantages. Kinetic weapons at relativistic speeds, antimatter warheads, boarding actions, close-range combat, whatever it took to survive. She paused the footage and looked around the chamber. The council abandoned humanity to fight this threat alone. For 200 years we bled while you watched. Now they are coming for you. And you have a choice. You can face them alone the way you forced us to, or you can ask for our help. And what would be your price? Asked a Trell representative suspiciously. What would humanity demand in exchange? Chen smiled. That is the interesting question, is it not? What would be fair payment for saving your civilizations? The chamber erupted into arguing again. Chen let them fight for a moment before holding up her hand. Fortunately for you, I am not the one who sets humanity's price. That decision belongs to Earth and the UNSC Command. I have already sent them a full report of the situation. They will arrive in 1 week to negotiate terms. What? Zethus's mandibles clicked in surprise. How did you contact them? Webb stood up, grinning. We borrowed your communication array, hope you do not mind. Odin needed the bandwidth. That is impossible. Our systems are encrypted. Not anymore, Webb said cheerfully. We also borrowed your intelligence files on human space, krill movements, and council military capabilities. Thank you for that. Very helpful. The chamber exploded in outrage. Representatives shouted about violations and crimes. Chen waited for them to exhaust themselves. "You can complain all you want," she said when they finally quieted down. "But here is your reality. The Krill are coming. The Council cannot stop them. Humanity can. Whether we choose to help you depends entirely on how the next week goes." "This is blackmail," someone shouted. "No," Valora said, standing up. "This is justice. We abandoned them. We let them suffer. Now they hold the power. And I, for one, think we deserve whatever terms they demand." Zethus looked at Chen with a mixture of anger and respect. "You planned this from the beginning. The humble captain act. Sharing your combat logs. All of it was manipulation." "I prefer to call it negotiation," Chen replied. "And yes, I learned politics along with warfare. Humanity grew up fast." Admiral Koenig studied the Krill fleet projection thoughtfully. "Tell me honestly, Captain, can humanity stop this fleet?" Chen considered the question carefully. "Alone? No. This fleet is bigger than anything we have faced, but together? The Council has numbers and resources. Humanity has experience and weapons technology. Combined, we might have a chance." "Might?" "War is never certain, Admiral. But I know this. If we fight together, we have hope. If we fight separately, we all die." The chamber fell silent again. Chen could see the calculations happening behind every representative's eyes. Pride versus survival. Independence versus extinction. "The vote will be held in 3 days," Zethus announced. "We will decide whether to formally invite humanity to join a military alliance against the Krill. Until then, Captain Chen, you and your engineer will be our guests. And please, stop hacking our systems." "No promises," Webb said with a grin. As they left the chamber, Chen felt Webb lean close. Odin finished the scan. "You are not going to believe what he found." "What?" "The Council has been monitoring human space for the last century. Every colony, every shipyard, every military installation. They have detailed records of everything." "I know. We saw some of that." "No, you do not understand. They were not just watching. They were preparing. The Council military has been developing weapons specifically designed to fight humans, just in case." Chen stopped walking. "They were planning to attack us?" "Not attack. Contain. They were scared of what humanity was becoming. They wanted to be ready in case we became a threat." Chen looked back at the Council chamber. Behind those walls sat representatives from 100 species, all claiming to value peace and cooperation, but they had been ready to destroy humanity if necessary. "They fear us," she said quietly. "They should," Webb replied. "We survived what killed billions. We turned ourselves into weapons, and now they need those weapons to survive." Chen thought about Earth, thriving in the darkness. She thought about the 32 human colonies spreading through space. She thought about the UNSC fleet that would arrive in 1 week, carrying admirals and politicians who would decide humanity's future. "The galaxy is about to change," she said. "The old rules do not apply anymore." "Good," Webb said. "I never liked those rules anyway." 3 sectors away, the Krill fleet continued its approach. They did not know about humanity. They did not know about the Long War or the species that had been forged in fire. They were about to learn, and the lesson would be written in blood and steel across the stars. The Krill fleet arrived 3 days early. Captain Chen was in the medical bay of the Retribution, supervising the awakening of her crew. When the alarm sounded, she ran to the bridge, her boots echoing through corridors that were finally coming alive again. Behind her, hundreds of crew members were emerging from cryosleep, groggy but ready. Commander Zethus was already on the communication channel when she arrived. His voice carried a tremor she had never heard before. "Captain Chen, they are here. The Krill. They jumped into Council space ahead of schedule. They are heading for Valora's homeworld. 2 billion citizens. We need to evacuate." "There is no time for evacuation," Chen interrupted. "How long until they reach the planet?" 6 hours. Maybe less. What is the Council's defensive position? A pause. "We have 43 ships in the system. Admiral Koenig is in command. He says they will hold as long as possible to buy time for evacuation ships." Chen pulled up the tactical display. 43 council ships against a Krill vanguard fleet. She counted the enemy vessels. Over 5,000 bioships and more jumping in every minute. It was a massacre waiting to happen. Zethus, I need you to authorize the Retribution's repair. Full access to your station's resources. And I need it now. Captain, the council has not voted yet. We have no alliance. I cannot authorize. Those are 2 billion lives, Commander. Valora's people. Your friend's people. Are you going to let them die because of politics? Another pause, longer this time. Then Zethus spoke, his voice firm. Authorization granted. What do you need? Everything. 2 hours later, the Retribution was alive in a way she had not been in decades. The council station's repair drones swarmed over her hull, patching holes, replacing damaged armor plates, welding structural supports. Power cores were restarted. Weapon systems came online one by one. It was not enough time for a full repair, but it would have to do. In the crew quarters, 842 humans were suiting up for war. They moved with practiced efficiency, checking weapons, securing armor, running through pre-battle rituals they had performed countless times before. These were veterans of the Long War, soldiers who had fought in the darkest days of humanity's survival. They had been asleep for 40 years, but their training was eternal. Lieutenant Webb stood in the engine room, coaxing life back into systems that should have been dead. Come on, beautiful, he muttered to the main reactor. One more fight. That is all I am asking. The reactor hummed, flickered, then roared to full power. Webb grinned. That is my girl. On the bridge, Chen watched her crew take their positions. Her tactical officer, her weapons officer, her helm. Every station filled by someone she trusted with her life. Someone she had fought beside through hell. Status report, she ordered. Main weapons at 60% capacity, called out Weapons Officer Park. MAC guns are online. Nuclear torpedo bays are loaded. Point defense grid is functional. Engines at 75%, Webb reported from engineering. FTL is still damaged. We can do sublight only. But we can move. Communications with the Council fleet established, said Communications Officer Torres. Admiral Kernick is requesting our intentions. Chen opened the channel. Admiral, this is Captain Chen. The Retribution is combat ready. We are coming to assist. The Admiral's reptilian face appeared on screen. His expression was unreadable. Captain, you have 43 crew members awake and a damaged ship. We appreciate the gesture, but you cannot help us. You should evacuate while you can. With respect, Admiral, that is not happening. My crew and I did not survive the Long War just to run from a fight. This is not your fight. The Council has no alliance with humanity. You have no obligation. The Krill are everyone's fight, Chen interrupted. We learned that 200 years ago. Today you learn it too. She cut the channel and looked at her crew. They stared back at her with fierce loyalty. These people had followed her into the heart of a Krill hive fleet once before. They would do it again. Helm, plot a course to Valora's homeworld. Maximum speed, aye, Captain. Course plotted. Weapons, I want everything ready. Nuclear torpedoes armed. MAC guns charged. If it can shoot, I want it ready to shoot. Already done. Ma'am? Chen sat in her command chair and felt the familiar weight settle on her shoulders. Command. Responsibility. The knowledge that her decisions would determine who lived and who died. All hands. This is the captain, she said over the ship-wide channel. I will not lie to you. We are heading into a fight we might not survive. The Krill have numbers. They have surprise, but we have something they do not have. We have experience. We have training. We have the will to survive that has been carved into us by 200 years of war. She paused, letting her words sink in. The Council abandoned humanity once. They let us fight alone. Today we show them what that created. We show them what humanity became in the darkness. Today we show the galaxy that humans do not run. We do not hide, we fight. And we win. The crew cheered. It was a sound Chen had not heard in 40 years, but it sent fire through her veins. Helm, engage engines. Take us to war. The Retribution launched from the Council station, her engines burning bright against the stars. Behind her, the station's occupants watched in awe and terror as the massive warship accelerated toward the coming battle. 4 hours later, the Retribution entered the Valora system. The scene was chaos. Council ships fought desperately against the Krill swarm, but they were losing. Bioships tore through elegant Council vessels, ripping them apart with organic weapons that ate through shields and armor. Explosions dotted the darkness. Escape pods drifted through debris fields. Tactical assessment, Chen ordered. Council fleet is down to 28 ships, reported the tactical officer. Krill forces number approximately 4,800. They are in attack formation Alpha 7 standard swarm pattern. They are pushing toward the planet. Show me Admiral Kernek's flagship. The display highlighted a council dreadnought at the center of the defensive formation. It was taking heavy fire, its shields flickering. Open channel to all ships, council and Krill frequencies. Channel open, ma'am. Chen stood. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UNSC Retribution. Krill forces, you have entered protected space. You have 10 seconds to withdraw or be destroyed. This is your only warning, silence. Then a horrible screeching sound came through the Krill frequency. It was laughter. So be it, Chen said. All weapons fire at will. Show them what humans learned in the dark. The Retribution opened fire and the galaxy saw human warfare for the first time. The Mac guns fired first. Magnetic accelerator cannons launching slugs of depleted uranium at a fraction of light speed. The rounds punched through 3 Krill bioships, then 4 more behind them. Each shot was a lance of destruction that left nothing but debris in its wake. Nuclear torpedoes followed. Dozens of them, arcing toward the thickest concentrations of Krill ships. They detonated in sequence, each explosion a miniature sun that vaporized everything within a kilometer. The point defense grid activated. Thousands of small railguns that created a wall of metal around the Retribution. Krill fighter organisms that tried to close were shredded before they could reach the hull. Targets eliminated. 247, reported Weapons Officer Park. Acquiring new targets. Keep firing. Do not stop until they are all dead, or we are out of ammunition. The Council fleet watched in stunned silence as the single human ship carved through the Krill swarm. Admiral Kernek's voice came through the comm, filled with disbelief. What? What are you? We are what you made us, Chen replied. We are survivors. The battle raged for 3 hours. The Retribution took damage, terrible damage. Krill bioweapons scored her hull. Organic missiles struck her sides. 2 of her Mac guns were destroyed. Fire broke out in 3 sections. 17 crew members died when a Krill ramming organism breached the lower decks. But the Retribution did not stop. She could not stop. That was not what humans did. Chen made a decision. Helm, plot ramming course to the Krill command ship. Ma'am? The helmsman sounded shocked. You heard me. We are going to ram them. Weapons, arm all remaining nuclear warheads. Overload the antimatter containment. On my mark, we detonate everything. Captain? Webb's voice came from engineering. If we do that, the explosion will destroy us too. I know. All hands abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. Move. We are not leaving you. Someone shouted. That is an order. Chen roared. Get off the ship. The crew hesitated, but discipline won. They had been trained to follow orders, even ones they hated. They moved toward the escape pod, some crying, some praying, all terrified. Sithis' voice came through the comm. Captain Chen, what are you doing? What humans do best, she replied. Winning. The Retribution accelerated toward the massive Krill command ship at the center of their fleet. Smaller bioships tried to intercept, but the point defense grid cut them down. The command ship grew larger in the viewport, a grotesque thing of chitin and metal. Weapons armed, Park reported. He had refused to leave the bridge. So had Torres and the helmsman. They would die with their captain. It has... Captain Sarah Chen woke up in a medical bay that was not her own. The walls were too white, too clean. The equipment around her was alien technology, humming with sounds she did not recognize. For a moment, panic gripped her. Then memory returned. The battle. The sacrifice. The explosion. She was alive. Welcome back, Captain. Chen turned her head, wincing at the pain. Commander Zethis stood beside her bed, his compound eyes reflecting a dozen different versions of her battered face. How long? She asked, her voice rough. 3 days. Your injuries were severe. Broken ribs, internal bleeding, concussion. You are lucky to be alive. My crew? 791 survivors from the Retribution. 17 dead in the battle. 34 still in critical condition. The rest are recovering. Chen closed her eye, relief washing over her. Most of them made it. Not all, but most. The battle? We won. Your sacrifice broke the Krill Vanguard fleet. They retreated. Valora's homeworld was saved. 2 billion citizens owe you their lives. And the main Krill fleet? Zethis' mandibles clicked nervously. Still coming. The Vanguard was only a scouting force. The main armada is 3 weeks away. Chen tried to sit up, but pain lanced through her body. She fell back, gasping. You need to rest, Zethus said. I need to get up. You need to rest, a new voice said. Chen turned to see a human man standing in the doorway. He wore a crisp UNSC admiral's uniform, his face weathered but strong. Behind him stood a dozen more humans, all military. Admiral Kenji Nakamura, the man said, stepping forward. Commander of the UNSC Third Fleet. It is an honor to meet you, Captain Chen. Your name is legendary in human space. Chen stared at him. Legendary? The mission to destroy the Krill Queen. The sacrifice of the Retribution. It ended the long war. Children learn about you in school. There are monuments built in your name. Nakamura smiled. Waking up to find you are a hero is probably disorienting. I was just doing my job. That is what all the best heroes say. Nakamura pulled up a chair and sat. I am here to negotiate with the Galactic Council. But first I need to understand the situation. Tell me everything. For the next hour, Chen explained. The Council's abandonment of humanity. The quarantine. The discovery. The battle. She told him about the Council's fear. Their political divisions, their weakness. And she told him about the Krill Armada coming to destroy everything. Nakamura listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. So they left us to die, he said finally, and now they want our help to save them. Yes. What do you think we should do, Captain? Chen met his eyes. I think we should help them. Not because they deserve it, but because if we do not, billions will die. And because we are better than they are, Nakamura smiled. I was hoping you would say that. The UNSC High Command agrees. We will help the Council. But on our terms. What terms? You will see. Right now you need to rest. The negotiations start tomorrow. And I want you there if you are strong enough. I will be there. The next day, Chen limped into the Galactic Council chamber on crutches. Her body protested every movement, but she would not miss this. The chamber was packed. Every council representative was present. And filling one entire section were humans, hundreds of them. Diplomats, military officers, scientists, advisors. A delegation that announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage with undeniable force. Admiral Nakamura stood at the central podium. Beside him was the human ambassador, Dr. Elizabeth Torres, a woman with sharp eyes and sharper political instincts. Members of the Galactic Council, Nakamura began, his voice echoing through the chamber. 200 years ago you discovered humanity. You observed us. You judged us. And you decided we were too violent, too dangerous, too primitive to join your civilized society. The chamber was silent. Then the Krill came. You knew they were coming. You could have warned us. You could have helped us. Instead, you quarantined us and left us to die. 3 billion humans died in the first year of the war. Billions more died over the next 2 centuries. We fought alone in the darkness while you watched. Nakamura's voice grew harder, but we survived. We adapted. We evolved. We became what we needed to be to win. And now the Krill are coming for you. Now you need us. The question is, why should we help you? Valora stood, her feathers ruffled with emotion. Because it is the right thing to do. Because billions of innocent lives hang in the balance. Because despite our mistakes, we can be better together. Can we? Nakamura asked. Can the Council truly accept humanity as equals? Not as primitives to be managed, not as weapons to be aimed, but as equals. Zethus stepped forward. I cannot speak for the entire Council, but I can speak for myself. What happened to humanity was wrong. The quarantine was wrong. Abandoning you was wrong, and I am sorry. He paused. If humanity will help us survive this threat, I will dedicate my life to ensuring the Council never makes such a mistake again. Other representatives began to stand. One by one, they echoed Zethus's apology. Not all of them. Some remained seated, their expressions hostile, but enough stood that the message was clear. Change was coming. Ambassador Torres stepped forward. The United Nations Space Command has authorized me to propose an alliance. Humanity will join the fight against the Krill. We will share our military technology, our tactical knowledge, our forces. In exchange, we require the following. A holographic list appeared above the podium. 1. Humanity is granted full membership in the Galactic Council with equal voting rights. 2. All quarantine restrictions on human space are permanently lifted. 3. The Council will provide full technological exchange including FTL technology, medical advancements, and scientific knowledge. 4. Joint command structure for all military operations with human officers integrated at all levels. 5. Formal reparations for the abandonment of humanity during the Long War. The chamber erupted in argument. Some representatives called the terms reasonable. Others called them extortion. "These demands are outrageous," shouted the Grelin representative. "You would use our desperation against us." "Yes," Nakamura said simply. "We learned negotiation from you. You left us to die when it benefited you. Now we set terms that benefit us. Welcome to human diplomacy." Admiral Kernek stood. "I support these terms. I have seen what human forces can do. If they fight beside us, we have a chance. Without them, we die. The choice is simple." The vote was called. It took 3 hours of debate, political maneuvering, and threats. But in the end, the measure passed. 873 votes in favor, 412 against, 89 abstentions. Humanity was formally invited to join the Galactic Council. Ambassador Torres shook hands with Zethus, sealing the agreement. "We are allies now. Let us hope we can trust each other." "Trust is earned," Zethus replied. "Let us earn it together." 6 months later, the combined fleet assembled in neutral space. Captain Sarah Chen, now promoted to Admiral Sarah Chen, stood on the bridge of the UNSC Defiance, humanity's newest and most powerful dreadnought. It was twice the size of the Retribution, carrying weapons that made her old ship look like a toy. Around the Defiance, 200 human warships hung in formation. Dreadnoughts, carriers, destroyers, cruisers, the entire Third Fleet ready for war. And integrated among them were 500 council vessels. Different designs, different species, but united under one banner. Commander Zethus stood beside Chen as her liaison officer. It was a strange partnership, but it worked. He understood council politics. She understood war. Together they made an effective command team. "Long-range sensors have detected the Krill Armada," reported the tactical officer. "They are 2 hours out." Fleet composition: 3 million bioships, 50 hive carriers, 1 Empress-class command vessel. Chen studied the tactical display. It was the largest enemy force she had ever seen. Larger than anything in human history. Larger than the fleet that had invaded Earth. This was the Krill's full military might gathered to crush the Council once and for all. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered. "Execute formation Delta 7. Human ships form the spearhead. Council forces provide fire support and screening. 700 warships moved into position with practiced precision. Months of training, of learning to work together, paid off now. The fleet moved as one organism, human aggression balanced by council strategy. "Admiral," Zethus said quietly, "what are our chances?" Chen thought about the Long War, about Earth burning, about friends who had died, about humanity forged in fire. "We are alive," she said. "That means we still have a chance. And sometimes, a chance is all you need." The Krill Armada emerged from hyperspace like a plague. They filled the view screen, a seething mass of organic ships and hatred. They had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had destroyed countless civilizations. They were the terror of the galaxy. They did not know humanity. Admiral Chen opened a channel to the entire fleet. "All ships, this is Admiral Chen. I know many of you are afraid. You should be. We are outnumbered. We are facing an enemy that has never been defeated. But I want you to remember something. The Council was afraid of humanity once. They feared what we would become. Today we show them they were right to be afraid. Today we show the Krill why humans do not lose." She paused, letting her words sink in. "For 200 years humanity stood alone against the darkness. We bled, we suffered, we died, but we never broke. Today we do not stand alone. Today we stand with the Council. With the Klarn, the Valoran, the Grelin, Alti." The crystal chamber floated in the darkness of space, its walls glowing with soft blue light. Inside, thousands of alien beings sat in perfect circles around a central platform. This was the Galactic Council, the most powerful organization in the known universe. Today, they had gathered to make a decision about a small blue planet called Earth. Elder Zindar stepped onto the platform. His tall gray body moved with the confidence of someone who had lived for 800 years. His large black eyes scanned the crowd as he activated the holographic display. A 3-dimensional image of Earth appeared above his head, slowly rotating to show its oceans and continents. "Council members," Zindar began, his voice echoing through the chamber. We have completed our study of this world. The inhabitants call it Earth. They are a primitive species that has barely learned to leave their own planet. The image changed to show human cities, their buildings reaching toward the sky. Then it showed human vehicles moving on roads and finally, primitive rockets launching into space. As you can see, Zindar continued, these creatures have developed basic technology. They can split atoms and build simple computers. However, they remain trapped on their world. Their fastest ships use chemical fuel and take months to reach their own moon. A member of the council stood up. This was Velthak, commander of the Third Fleet. His species looked like giant insects with 4 arms and compound eyes. Elder Zindar, what threat do they pose to the council? Zindar touched a control and the display changed again. Now it showed humans fighting wars, polluting their oceans and cutting down forests. They are violent and destructive. They fight each other constantly and damage their own planet. If left alone, they will either destroy themselves or eventually develop space travel and spread their violence to other worlds. Then we follow standard protocol, said another council member. Pacification and integration on Earth. Hana Kim sat in front of her computer screen at the radio telescope facility in South Korea. She had been working the night shift for 3 years, listening to signals from space. Most nights she heard nothing but the background noise of the universe. Tonight was different. Her equipment had detected something strange. The signals were too organized to be natural, but they didn't match any known human transmissions. She adjusted her equipment and listened more carefully. The patterns were complex, almost like a language. Hana grabbed her phone and called her friend Jinsu Park, who worked for the military's Space Defense Initiative. Even though it was 3 in the morning, Jinsu answered on the second ring. Hana? What's wrong? I'm picking up something weird, she said, her eyes still focused on her computer screen. These signals aren't from Earth and they're definitely not natural. Are you sure? I've been doing this for years, Jinsu. This is artificial. Someone out there is talking. Meanwhile, in her laboratory across the city, Minji Lee was having her own breakthrough. She had been working on an experimental engine design that used quantum mechanics to bend space. According to most scientists, her ideas were impossible. Tonight, her latest test had created something that shouldn't exist, a tiny hole in space itself. She stared at the readings on her instruments. The hole had lasted only a few seconds, but it had definitely been there. If she could make it bigger and more stable, it might allow travel across vast distances instantly. Back in the council chamber, the vote was proceeding exactly as Elder Zindar had expected. One by one, each member of the council voted to authorize Pacification Protocol 7. This was the standard procedure for dealing with primitive worlds. First, they would send ships to demonstrate their power. Then they would demand surrender. Finally, they would integrate the planet into the Galactic Council as a minor member world. The final vote was 847-0. No one voted against the invasion of Earth. Commander Velthak, Elder Zindar, announced, "You will lead the Third Fleet to Earth. Use standard intimidation tactics. These primitives should surrender within days once they see our technology." Velthak bowed his insect-like head. "It will be done, Elder. How much resistance do you expect?" "None," Zindar replied. "Their most advanced weapons are nuclear missiles that move slower than our supply ships. Their space program consists of metal tubes filled with explosive chemicals. They cannot even leave their own solar system." The council members began to leave the chamber, already thinking about other matters. The conquest of Earth was just routine business, no different from the hundreds of other primitive worlds they had integrated over the centuries. But Hana Kim was still at her telescope, and she was learning more about the signals every minute. She had managed to identify patterns that repeated. Some signals seemed to be coordinates, others looked like technical specifications. She was beginning to think these weren't just random transmissions. Someone was organizing something big. She called Jinsu again. "You need to get down here. I think someone is planning to visit us." "What do you mean?" "These signals include star charts and what look like ship movements. Either someone is planning a very long trip, or they're already on their way." Jinsu knew Hana well enough to trust her judgment. "I'll be there in an hour. Don't tell anyone else about this yet." As Jinsu drove through the empty streets toward the telescope facility, he thought about the implications. If Hana was right, humanity was about to make first contact with an alien civilization. but something about her tone suggested this might not be a friendly visit. At the same time, 3 days' travel from Earth, Commander Velthak's fleet was already moving. The third fleet consisted of 200 ships, each one larger than anything humans had ever built. Their hulls were made of materials stronger than any Earth metal, and their weapons could destroy cities from orbit. Velthak reviewed the battle plan as his ships approached the solar system. First, they would position themselves around Earth to show their power. Then they would broadcast a surrender demand in the local language. The humans would see that resistance was impossible and give up immediately. He expected the entire operation to be finished within a week. But as his ships entered the outer edge of the solar system, Velthak's sensors detected something unexpected. The space around Earth wasn't empty. There were objects moving between the planets, too large to be natural asteroids but too small to be planets. "Scan those objects," he ordered his science officer. "Sir, they appear to be artificial structures, but according to our intelligence, this species cannot build anything in space larger than small stations." Velthak looked at the data again. Either their intelligence was wrong, or the humans had been hiding their true capabilities. On Earth, Hana had just made another discovery. The alien signals had stopped. The space around her planet had gone completely quiet. "They're here," she told Jinsu. The invasion of Earth was about to begin. Commander Velthak stared at the display screen showing Earth's solar system. His compound eyes could process multiple images at once, but what he was seeing didn't make sense. The space between Earth and its moon was filled with structures that shouldn't exist. Science Officer Kralvin, "Explain these readings," Velthak commanded. The smaller alien checked his instruments again. "Sir, I'm detecting at least 40 large structures in Earth's orbit. They're made of metal and appear to be operational. But our intelligence report said this species could barely reach their own moon." Velthak felt the first touch of doubt. In 300 years of conquest, primitive species had never surprised him. They always followed the same pattern: crude rockets, basic weapons, and complete helplessness when faced with Galactic Council technology. On Earth, Hana Kim was working faster than she ever had in her life. Her radio telescope was now connected to a network of similar devices around the planet. She had contacted colleagues in 12 countries, and they were all seeing the same thing. Ships were appearing at the edge of the solar system. "Jinsu, you need to see this," she called to her friend, who was standing behind her watching the data scroll across her screen. Jinsu Park looked at the numbers. As a military strategist, he understood what they meant.
"How many ships?"
"At least 200. Maybe more. They're big, Jinsu. Really big." Jinsu pulled out his secure phone and made a call.
"General, this is Major Park. We have a situation."
"I need to speak with Admiral Kang immediately." While Jinsu made his call, Hana continued to monitor the alien fleet. The ships were moving slowly, taking positions around Earth. It looked like they were surrounding the planet. But Hana noticed something else. The ships were following predictable paths as if they were following some kind of standard procedure. She began to record everything, looking for patterns. 20 minutes later, Jinsu returned. "The Admiral is on his way. He's bringing some people you need to meet." "What kind of people?" "The kind who have been expecting this day for a long time." Across the city, Minji Lee was still in her laboratory, unaware of what was happening in space above her. She had spent the entire night working on her quantum engine, trying to understand what had happened during her test. The brief hole in space had given her new ideas about how reality worked. She was so focused on her calculations that she almost missed the emergency broadcast that appeared on every screen in the building. The government was asking all scientists to report to emergency stations. Something about a national security situation. Minji grabbed her research notes and headed for the door. As she drove toward the government facility, she wondered if her quantum experiment had somehow caused a problem. But when she arrived, she found scientists from every field being brought together. Admiral Kang was a small, quiet man who had spent 40 years in the space program. When Hana met him, she was surprised by how calm he seemed. "Ms. Kim," he said, "show me what you found." Hana displayed her data on the main screen. 212 ships, all positioning themselves around Earth. They're using formation patterns that suggest military organization. Admiral Kang nodded. "They're following Pacification Protocol 7. How do you know that?" The Admiral looked at Jinsu, who nodded. Ms. Kim, what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level. We've known about the Galactic Council for 30 years. Hana felt her world shift. What? In 1995, we intercepted our first alien transmission. Since then, we've been monitoring their communications and learning their languages. We know about their government, their military, and their standard procedures for dealing with primitive worlds. Minji Lee arrived at the facility just as Admiral Kang was explaining the situation to, Hana. When she heard about alien ships surrounding Earth, her first thought was about her quantum engine experiment. Admiral, she interrupted, I think I might have something that can help. Everyone turned to look at the young physicist. Admiral Kang had heard about her work but hadn't expected to meet her today. What do you have, Dr. Lee? I've been working on quantum space manipulation. Last night I created a stable microwormhole. If I can scale up the technology, we might be able to do things these aliens don't expect. Above Earth, Commander Velthak was preparing to begin standard intimidation procedures. His fleet was in position, and his communications officer was ready to broadcast the surrender demand. Begin transmission, Velthak ordered. The message went out in what the aliens believed was Earth's primary language. It was a simple demand: surrender immediately or face destruction. The transmission included visual displays of the alien fleet's weapons to show Earth's helplessness. But instead of panic or immediate surrender, something unexpected happened. Hana Kim's radio telescope network picked up the alien transmission and began analyzing it immediately. Within minutes, she had identified the language structure. It was similar to other alien communications she had been studying for hours. More surprising to the aliens, Earth responded. The response came not from governments or military leaders, but from a radio telescope facility in South Korea. The message was transmitted in perfect galactic standard, the language used by the Council for official communications. Greetings to the Galactic Council fleet, the message began. This is Dr. Hana Kim speaking for Earth. We have been monitoring your approach for the past 18 hours. We have also been studying your communications protocols for several years. We are aware of Pacification Protocol 7 and your intentions regarding our planet. On the command ship, Velthak's communication officer stared at his equipment. Sir, this is impossible. They're using perfect galactic standard. Our intelligence said they didn't know we existed. The Earth transmission continued. We understand that you believe Earth to be a primitive world suitable for integration into your council. We respectfully disagree with this assessment. We suggest a different approach. Velthak felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries: confusion. Primitive worlds didn't respond to intimidation with diplomatic messages in perfect galactic standard. How long have they been monitoring our communications? He asked his intelligence officer. Unknown, sir. According to our data, they should not have been capable of detecting our transmissions at all. Hana Kim continued her transmission. We propose a meeting to discuss the terms of contact between our species. We have representatives prepared to negotiate. However, we should inform you that Earth is not as defenseless as your intelligence suggests. As if to prove this point, something appeared on Velthak's sensors that made him step backward. Objects were materializing around his fleet. Ships were uncloaking themselves, ships that had been invisible until this moment. Defense systems to full alert, Velthak ordered.
How many ships?
50. No, 70. Sir, they're still appearing. Over 100 ships now. The Earth vessels were smaller than the Council ships, but they were clearly advanced technology. They had appeared from nowhere, suggesting cloaking systems that the Council hadn't detected. Jinsu Park was now at the main command center, coordinating Earth's response. The ships surrounding the alien fleet were part of a defense system that had been built in secret over decades. Mining operations in the asteroid belt had been cover for military construction. Admiral, Jinsu reported, all defense platforms are active. The quantum drive ships are in position. Admiral Kang looked at Minji Lee. Doctor, are your engines ready for testing? Minji checked her portable control system. The prototype is installed on the lead ship. I can't guarantee it will work, but the theory is sound. Hana Kim sent another message to the alien fleet. Commander Velthak, we know your name and your service record. We know about your victories on 37 other worlds. We also know that those worlds were truly primitive when you arrived. Earth is different. In space above Earth, Velthak realized that everything he had been told about this species was wrong. They had been watching the Council, learning their language, and preparing for this exact moment. For the first time in his long military career, Commander Velthak was facing an enemy that had been preparing for him. The invasion of Earth was not going according to plan. Commander Velthak had conquered 37 worlds. He had faced desperate enemies, advanced weapons, and impossible odds. But he had never faced an enemy that knew everything about him while he knew nothing about them. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the Earthships are maintaining distance, but they have us completely surrounded. Their formations suggest they've studied our standard battle tactics." Velthak looked at the display showing both fleets. The human ships were positioned exactly where they would be most effective against Council formations. It was as if they had read the Galactic Military Academy textbooks. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. On Earth, Admiral Kang stood in the command center watching the situation develop. Decades of preparation were finally being put to the test. Next to him, Jinsu Park was coordinating the movements of ships that the aliens still thought were primitive mining vessels. "The alien commander wants to talk." Hana Kim reported from her communication station. "Put him through," Admiral Kang said. The image of Commander Velthak appeared on the main screen. His insect-like features looked angry and confused. "I am Commander Velthak of the Galactic Council 3rd Fleet," he began. "You will surrender immediately and prepare for integration. Your resistance is pointless." Admiral Kang stepped forward. "Commander, I am Admiral Kang of Earth Defense. Your invasion is based on outdated intelligence. We suggest you reconsider your approach." "Impossible. Our information is accurate. You are a primitive species with basic chemical rockets and nuclear weapons." Jinsu Park smiled. "Would you like us to demonstrate why your information is wrong?" Without waiting for an answer, Jinsu activated a control panel. In space, what the aliens thought were mining stations began to transform. Massive gun barrels extended from structures that had appeared to be simple asteroid processing facilities. Energy signatures spiked as weapons that were larger than most Council ships powered up. "Your mining operations were cover for military installations," Velthak said. "Beginning to understand. For 30 years, Admiral Kang confirmed. We've been building a defense network throughout the solar system. What you see as mining ships are actually mobile weapons platforms." Minji Lee was at her own control station, monitoring the quantum engines she had installed on the lead human ships. "Admiral, the quantum drives are ready for combat testing. Show them what they're really facing, Doctor." Minji activated her experimental technology. 3 human ships simply vanished from the alien sensors, only to reappear inside the alien formation. The ships had moved through folded space, traveling instantly across distances that should have taken minutes. On Velthak's command ship, alarms began ringing. "Sir, 3 enemy ships have appeared within our defensive perimeter. They bypassed our shields completely." Velthak stared at the tactical display. In 300 years of space combat, he had never seen ships teleport. The technology required was far beyond what any council member possessed. How did they do that? His science officer was frantically checking his instruments. "Unknown, sir. The energy patterns don't match any known propulsion system. It's as if they folded space itself." Hana Kim sent another transmission to the alien fleet. "Commander, the 3 ships inside your formation are equipped with gravitational weapons. Each one can create a small black hole. We suggest you consider our diplomatic offer." The threat was not empty. Each of the 3 human ships was powered by Minji's quantum technology and armed with weapons that manipulated gravity itself. They could literally tear apart the alien ships from the inside, but Admiral Kang had no intention of starting a war. He was demonstrating Earth's capabilities to force negotiations, not to destroy the alien fleet. "We don't want to fight," Admiral Kang told Commander Velthak, "but we won't be conquered either. Earth proposes a 3rd option." Velthak was beginning to realize that his standard invasion tactics were useless. The humans had superior technology, better intelligence, and they knew his every move before he made it. "What do you propose?" "A meeting. Your ships remain where they are. Our ships do the same. We send representatives to neutral ground and discuss terms." Jinsu Park added, "Commander, we know about the 43 other worlds you've conquered using Pacification Protocol 7. We've studied the after-action reports from each battle. We know your ship capabilities, your standard formations, and your preferred tactics. This doesn't have to become a fight you cannot win." The insult was perfectly delivered. Velthak was a proud military officer, but he was not stupid. His fleet was surrounded by enemies who knew his every weakness while he knew none of theirs. but there was still his pride as a council officer to consider. The Galactic Council does not negotiate with primitive species. Minji Lee chose that moment to demonstrate another capability. She activated a quantum field around one of the alien ships. The ship didn't disappear or explode. Instead, it simply stopped existing in normal space. It was still there, but it existed in a different dimension where the alien crew could see everything but touch nothing. "Your ship will be returned to normal space in 60 seconds, Minji announced. "Consider this a demonstration of our dimensional manipulation technology." On the affected alien ship, the crew watched in horror as their weapons passed through enemy ships without effect. They could see their own fleet, but they could not communicate with it or fire their weapons. They were trapped in a bubble between dimensions. Exactly 60 seconds later, the ship returned to normal space. Completely unharmed but thoroughly frightened. "How many more demonstrations would you like, Commander?" Admiral Kang asked politely. Velthak was no longer thinking about conquest. He was thinking about survival. His fleet was hopelessly outmatched by technology that shouldn't exist. The Council will not accept this situation. "Then perhaps it's time for the Council to learn something new," Hana Kim said. "We've been monitoring your communications for 30 years. We know the Council hasn't faced a real technological challenge in over 1,000 years. Your civilization has become stagnant." She was right, and Velthak knew it. The Council controlled the galaxy because they were advanced compared to primitive worlds, but they hadn't developed new technology in centuries. They relied on their superiority over species that were thousands of years behind them. Earth was different. Humanity had developed faster than light travel independently. They had created weapons and defenses that were beyond Council understanding. Most importantly, they had done it all while pretending to be primitive. "What do you want?" Velthak asked. "Recognition," Admiral Kang said. "A seat on the Galactic Council. Treatment as equals rather than subjects. The Council has procedures for conquering primitive worlds," Jinsu Park interrupted. "What procedures do they have for dealing with a species that's more advanced than they are?" Velthak had no answer. In all of galactic history, the Council had never encountered a situation like this. Minji Lee was monitoring her quantum engines and making calculations. "Admiral, I'm reading massive power signatures from the edge of the solar system. More ships are coming. The reinforcements weren't human. The Council was sending additional fleets to deal with what they still thought was a primitive uprising." "How many ships?" Admiral Kang asked. "At least 500? They'll arrive within 6 hours. Velthak checked his own sensors and confirmed the report. "You cannot fight the entire Council Navy." Admiral Kang looked at his staff and smiled. "Commander, you still don't understand. We're not planning to fight them. We're planning to convince them." "How?" Jinsu Park activated another control. Throughout the solar system, thousands of hidden platforms revealed themselves. The space between Earth and Jupiter was filled with defensive installations that had been disguised as natural objects for decades. "We're going to show the Council what humans can do when we put our minds to it," Admiral Kang said. The real demonstration was about to begin. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was the largest gathering in 500 years. Elder Zindar stood at the center of the crystal chamber, but his usual confidence was gone. Reports from Commander Velthak had reached the Council 3 hours ago, and nobody could believe what they were hearing. "You're telling us," said Council Member Draktar, "that a primitive species defeated the Third Fleet without firing a shot?" "They didn't defeat us," Elder Zindar said, trying to maintain some dignity. "Commander Velthak is negotiating a strategic withdrawal. The humans surrounded his entire fleet and demonstrated technology we don't possess," another Council member said. "That sounds like defeat to me." The Council chamber filled with angry voices. For the first time in 1,000 years, a Galactic Council fleet had been stopped by the species they were trying to conquer. Worse, the humans had done it easily. Above Earth, Commander Velthak was learning more disturbing facts about his enemies. The human ships were not just advanced. They were using technology that violated everything the Council knew about physics. "Sir," his science officer reported, "I've analyzed their quantum engines. They're manipulating space-time itself. The mathematics shouldn't work, but somehow it does." Velthak looked at the readings. The human ships could appear anywhere instantly, phase between dimensions, and create gravitational fields strong enough to tear apart planets. It was technology that was centuries beyond anything the Council possessed. On Earth, Hana Kim was preparing for the most important conversation in human history. The Council had agreed to direct communication with Earth's representatives. For the first time, humans would speak directly to the galaxy's most powerful government. "Are you ready?" Admiral Kang asked her. Hana nodded. She had spent years studying alien languages and cultures. Now she would use that knowledge to save her planet. The communication channel opened and Elder Zindar's image appeared on the screen. His tall gray form looked imposing, but Hana could see fear in his large black eyes. "I am Elder Zindar of the Galactic Council," he began. "You will explain how your species acquired advanced technology." "Good afternoon, Elder Zindar," Hana replied politely. "I am Dr. Hana Kim representing Earth. We developed our technology the same way every species does, through research, experimentation, and a lot of hard work." "Impossible. Our intelligence shows your species discovered space travel only decades ago," Hana smiled. "Your intelligence is based on what we wanted you to see. We've been aware of galactic civilization for 30 years. We've been monitoring your communications, studying your technology, and learning about your government." The council chamber fell silent. The humans had been watching them for decades without being detected. "How?" Elder Zindar demanded. "You sent probe ships to our solar system every few years," Hana explained. "We captured several of them and reverse-engineered your technology. But we didn't stop there. We improved it." Minji Lee stepped forward to join the conversation. "Elder Zindar, I'm Dr. Minji Lee. I lead our quantum research division. Your probe ships used basic faster-than-light drives. We studied them and developed something better. What you call quantum manipulation is impossible," Elder Zindar said. "Only if you limit yourself to three-dimensional thinking," Minji replied. "We learned to work in 11 dimensions. It opens up possibilities you've never considered." On the council ship, Commander Velthak was receiving reports that made the situation even worse. His scanners were detecting thousands of hidden installations throughout Earth's solar system. The humans had been building defenses for decades while pretending to be primitive. "How many defensive platforms?" he asked his tactical officer. "Over 3,000, sir. They're disguised as asteroids, comets, and space debris. The entire solar system is a fortress." Meanwhile, Jinsu Park was coordinating Earth's response to the incoming council reinforcements. 500 ships were approaching the solar system, expecting to face a primitive species with basic weapons. "Minji, are the dimensional shields ready?" he asked. "All installations are equipped with phase generators," Minji confirmed. "We can shift the entire defensive network between dimensions if necessary." Admiral Kang was thinking about the bigger picture. Earth had surprised one council fleet, but defeating 500 ships would require a different approach. "Dr. Kim," he said to Hana, "tell the council about our exploration program." Hana turned back to the communication screen. "Elder Zindar, we should mention that Earth has not been idle during these 30 years. We've been exploring the galaxy." "What do you mean?" "We've visited 47 star systems using our quantum drives. We've made contact with 17 species that are not members of your council. Some of them are quite interested in alternatives to council membership." This was the information that truly frightened Elder Zindar. The council maintained control of the galaxy by being the only organization capable of interstellar travel and communication. If humans could travel instantly between star systems, they could offer the same services to other species. "You're threatening council authority," Elder Zindar said. "We're offering choice," Admiral Kang replied. "The galaxy is big enough for more than one interstellar organization." In the council chamber, panic was beginning to spread. Council member Velkaran stood up to address Elder Zindar. "This species represents a fundamental threat to council supremacy. They must be destroyed immediately." But Elder Zindar was looking at tactical reports from the approaching reinforcement fleet. The human defensive installations weren't just numerous, they were mobile. The asteroid belt was moving to form a defensive wall around Earth. "How are they moving asteroids?" he asked Commander Velthak. "Gravitational manipulation, sir. They can control gravity itself. They're turning the entire solar system into a weapon." The approaching council reinforcements found themselves facing an impossible situation. The space around Earth was filled with defensive platforms that could appear and disappear at will. Asteroids the size of cities were moving into defensive positions. Most disturbing of all, human ships were simply appearing inside the council formations without warning. Fleet Admiral Korth, commanding the reinforcements, had never seen anything like it.
How many ships do they have?
Unknown, sir. They keep appearing from nowhere. Our sensors show 50 ships, then 100, then 200. They're either teleporting or they have cloaking technology beyond our understanding. On Earth, Minji Lee was demonstrating another capability to the Council. She activated a quantum field around one of the approaching Council ships and transported it instantly to Earth orbit. "Your ship is unharmed," she told Fleet Admiral Korth over the communication channel. "We brought it here to make a point. We can move your ships anywhere we want, anytime we want." The transported ship found itself surrounded by human vessels, completely cut off from its fleet. The crew was unharmed but thoroughly frightened. Admiral Kang addressed both Council commanders. "Gentlemen, Earth doesn't want to fight the entire Galactic Council, but we won't be conquered either. We're offering a third option." "What option?" Elder Zindar asked. "Partnership," Hana Kim said. "Earth has technologies you need. Our quantum drives, our dimensional manipulation, our gravitational control systems. We're willing to share this technology with the Council. In exchange for what?" "Membership." "Not as a subject world, but as an equal partner. A seat on the Council with full voting rights." Jinsu Park added the final element of Earth's offer. "We're also prepared to share our defensive technologies with other Council worlds. Your current enemies won't stand a chance against quantum weapons and dimensional shields." Elder Zindar realized that Earth was offering the Council a chance to become more powerful than ever before, but it would require treating humans as equals instead of subjects. The choice was simple: accept Earth as a partner, or face the possibility of humans creating their own galactic government with superior technology. "The Council will need time to consider your proposal," Elder Zindar said. "Of course," Admiral Kang replied. "Take all the time you need. Your fleets are welcome to remain here as our guests while you decide." It was a polite way of saying that the Council ships were not leaving until Earth received an acceptable answer. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted in a single day, and everyone knew it. 3 days after the first contact, the situation around Earth had become the most closely watched event in galactic history. News of the human technological demonstration had spread to every Council world, and representatives from dozens of species were demanding answers. In the Galactic Council chamber, Elder Zindar faced the largest crisis of his 800-year career. Half the Council wanted to destroy Earth before human technology could spread to other worlds. The other half wanted to negotiate for access to human innovations. "The humans are a threat to everything we've built," Council member Velkaran argued. "If other species gain access to their technology, the Council's authority will collapse." "If we don't gain access to their technology," replied Council member Draktar, "the Council will become irrelevant anyway. These humans can travel anywhere instantly and communicate across the galaxy without delay. They're already offering alternatives to Council membership." Elder Zindar looked at the reports coming from Earth's solar system. The human defenses had grown stronger every day. More installations were appearing, and human ships were now patrolling other star systems, making contact with non-Council species. Above Earth, Admiral Kang was preparing for the next phase of humanity's introduction to galactic politics. A special ship had been constructed specifically for this moment, a vessel that would demonstrate Earth's most advanced technologies to the Council. "The Taguki is ready for departure," Jinsu Park reported. "All systems are functioning perfectly." The Taguki was humanity's masterpiece. It incorporated every breakthrough they had achieved over 30 years of secret research. Quantum drives, dimensional manipulation, gravitational control, and several technologies that were still experimental. "Dr. Lee, are you ready to take our demonstration to the Council?" Admiral Kang asked. Minji Lee nodded from her position at the ship's quantum control station. "The dimensional phase drive is calibrated for the journey to the Council chambers. We can reach them in less than an hour." Hana Kim was also aboard the Taiguki, prepared to serve as Earth's primary diplomat. She had spent 3 days studying additional Council communications and learning about the political situation in galactic government. "Admiral," she said, "I've identified several Council members who might support our proposal. The key is demonstrating that partnership with Earth benefits everyone, not just humans." The Taiguki departed Earth using technology that amazed even the watching Council fleets. The ship didn't accelerate gradually like normal spacecraft. Instead, it simply folded space around itself and stepped sideways through 11 dimensions. emerging near the council chambers 400 light-years away. The journey, that should have taken months in a council ship, was completed in 37 minutes. When the Taiguchi appeared near the council chambers, every sensor in the area detected its arrival. The ship was unlike anything in the council database. Its hull seemed to shift between solid metal and transparent energy, and it registered on sensors in ways that suggested it existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Council Station Control. This is the Earthship Taiguchi requesting permission to dock. Hana Kim transmitted in perfect galactic standard. The Council Station's docking master was speechless. No ship had ever approached the council chambers without permission, and none had ever arrived from such a distance so quickly. Elder Zindar himself authorized the docking. He needed to see this human technology up close. When the airlock opened, Admiral Kang stepped out first, followed by Hana Kim, Jinsu Park, and Minji Lee. They were the first humans to set foot on a galactic council station, and they carried themselves with the confidence of equals rather than the deference of subjects. Elder Zindar, Admiral Kang said, bowing slightly in the traditional council greeting. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Elder Zindar studied the humans carefully. They looked fragile compared to most galactic species, but their technology suggested they were anything but weak. Your ship, he said. It uses principles we don't understand. Minji Lee stepped forward. Elder, your species has controlled the galaxy for 1,000 years using the same basic technologies. You haven't needed to innovate because you haven't faced real challenges. Earth developed differently. How differently? We've always faced challenges, Jinsu Park explained. Limited resources, hostile environments, constant conflicts. These pressures forced us to find creative solutions to impossible problems. Hana Kim activated a portable display that showed human technological development over the past century. Elder Zindar, in 100 years, humans went from horse-drawn carts to quantum space manipulation. Most species take thousands of years to achieve similar advances. Why? Because we had to, Admiral Kang said simply. Human civilization developed on a world where survival required constant innovation. We learned to adapt quickly or die. Elder Zindar was beginning to understand. The Council controlled species that had developed on easy worlds with abundant resources. They had never faced the pressures that forced rapid technological advancement. What are you proposing? Minji Lee activated another control, and the Taiguchi became visible through the station's viewing ports. The ship began to demonstrate its capabilities, shifting between dimensions, manipulating local gravity, and creating small wormholes in space. We're proposing that Earth join the Council as a full member, Hana Kim said. In exchange, we'll share our technologies and help solve problems that have stumped the Council for centuries. Such as? Jinsu Park smiled. The Zirian Rebellion in the Outer Rim. They've been fighting Council forces for 50 years because your ships can't reach their hidden bases. Our quantum drives could end that conflict in days. The plague affecting the Altarian colonies, Minji Lee added. Your medical technology can't cure it because it exists partially in another dimension. Our dimensional manipulation could isolate and destroy the disease. The resource shortages in the Vega sector, Admiral Kang continued. Your transport ships take months to deliver supplies. Our quantum drives could deliver resources instantly. Elder Zindar realized that the humans weren't just offering to share technology. They were offering to solve every major problem the Council faced. And in return, we want the galaxy to know that there are alternatives to conquest, Hana Kim said. The Council has maintained power by being the only option for space travel and communication. We're offering choice. You're threatening our authority. We're offering to enhance it, Admiral Kang corrected. A Council equipped with human technology would be more powerful than ever, but it would also be more just. Minji Lee demonstrated another capability. She activated a quantum field that allowed her to communicate instantly with Earth, 400 light-years away. The conversation was in real time with no delay. Elder Zindar, I'm speaking with Dr. Park on Earth right now. She's reporting that 17 non-Council species have requested meetings with human representatives. They want to learn about alternatives to Council membership. The threat was clear. Earth could create its own galactic organization if the Council refused to negotiate. What guarantee do we have that humans won't eventually challenge Council authority? Because we don't want to rule the galaxy, Admiral Kang said. We want to improve it. Human culture values cooperation over domination. We're offering partnership, not conquest. Jinsu Park added the final element of Earth's proposal. Elder Zindar, we know about the external threats the Council faces. The machine intelligences beyond the galactic rim, the hostile dimensions that sometimes break through into normal space, the ancient weapons platforms that activate randomly. Our technology could help the Council deal with these challenges. Elder Zindar had not expected the humans to know about the Council's deepest secrets. The external threats were classified information known only to the highest levels of government. How do you know about those threats? We've encountered some of them ourselves, Hana Kim said. Earth isn't the only world humans have visited. We've been exploring dangerous regions of space that Council ships avoid. And we've learned how to fight things that exist outside normal reality, Minji Lee said. Our dimensional technology works against enemies that phase between universes. For the first time in the conversation, Elder Zindar looked hopeful. The Council had struggled with external threats for centuries, always forced to retreat or evacuate worlds when faced with truly alien dangers. You can fight the phase entities? We can do more than fight them, Admiral Kang said. We can prevent them from entering our dimension in the first place. Elder Zindar realized that Earth wasn't just offering to join the Council. They were offering to save it from threats that had seemed impossible to defeat. The decision was becoming clear, but it would require the Council to accept something they had never accepted before, an equal partner instead of a subject species. I will present your proposal to the full Council, Elder Zindar said. Thank you, Hana Kim replied. We hope this is the beginning of a new era for galactic civilization. The vote would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of the entire galaxy.